Greetings, Helldivers! Today we're gonna take a look at one of the oldest weapons we have, Breaker Incendiary. Let's go! Breaker Incendiary has a potential damage of 240 with light armor penetration, and it has that additional 100 DPS of fire damage with heavy pen because it's well incendiary. It has 26 capacity and 4 spare mags with the standard drum mag and ergonomics of 65. Each pellet deals 20 damage and 10 durable damage, and they have status strength of 0.6. Lastly, it has a very huge spread of 300, which is the biggest out of the Breaker family, and it goes in both directions. Breaker Incendiary features two firing modes, semi-auto mode and the burst mode. While I personally stick to the semi-auto, in this gun the burst mode does make sense. But does anybody even use the burst mode in this game? Anyways, Breaker Incendiary is in majority for the chaff enemies, as it doesn't really have that killing potential. Overall, it's more for the support divers, as the role of this gun is to soften up the horde with that fire damage. We can tell this because of how big the spread of this gun is. Even with the full choke, the pellets are not concentrated enough, so you don't really have that potential 240 damage, never. Unless something is literally in your face, of course. I personally run the Breaker Incendiary with the tag build, as it spreads the pellets horizontally, so you can get more of the horde set on fire. On the distance, of course, you will be basically dealing no damage, but you will still be setting the enemies on fire, so the role of this gun remains. Although after like 40 meters it does become pretty hard to actually hit something. Unfortunately, you will be needing more than one pellet to hit the target to actually set it on fire. It not always has been the case, because before it had a status strength of 100, so it would set on fire basically anything with the one pellet, but now it's only 0.6, so you need to hit it with multiple pellets to actually set the enemies on fire. While the Breaker Incendiary does have its niche, and that niche is quite good, I say there is some stuff that actually keeps that gun behind. First off, I would say that it should set enemies on fire, the little ones like Vaultless and Hunters, with a single pellet. With that, it wouldn't require such condensed fire and would be better at its niche of setting the horde on fire, as you don't have to hit enemies with a couple of pellets. Everything in the radius of your pellets would get set on that fire. And the second thing to overall buff the gun would be either give it medium armor penetration, so you can also set the medium enemies on fire, not as easily, but a little bit easier, or just give it more ammo. It having just 4 mags with the drum mags doesn't really feel good, since it's the same economy as the standard Breaker, and the standard Breaker has way more damage and it's not that niche like the Breaker Incendiary. So either give it medium armor penetration or give it more ammo. We're gonna start on the automaton front, where you just shouldn't bring the Breaker Incendiary. First off, you don't have that horde of chaff enemies here, so there is no niche for this gun. And it's kinda hard to set the Devastators on fire with this one, if you ask me, let alone deal enough damage to them, so you actually soften them up. Best case scenario is if you are using it on the cyborgs, because they do not have the medium armor, so you hit them more often, but it doesn't really change much, they are still way too tanky for this gun. Also, majority of the battle happens at the distance, so the gun really fails, because you can't really hit anything, let alone deal any reasonable damage. The automatons are also the hardest to set on fire, so you will be using way more ammo to even set them on that fire. And due to that huge spread, you can't even go for the weak spots, you have to be dead on, close to them to actually try and headshot them. And even from the distance of like 10 meters, it will take you like 2 shots to head of the Devastator with full choke to actually kill it. I am not joking when I'm going to say that it's actually better against a Hulk than it is against something like a standard Devastator, because the Hulk has a huge ass weak spot, which is going to catch the pellets easier than a slim Devastator. Overall, just don't bring it here. But on the Illuminate I quite like it, especially against the Vaultless and the Flesh mobs, as they come in hordes, so you can set them all on fire, either softening them up or actually killing them when it comes to the Vaultless. But of course, it's not going to be the bare pellets which kill the Vaultless, only the fire damage, so you still have to wait a little bit. But it's very good for the mindless masses with that, as there is just a lot of Vaultless, so it will be able to kill a lot of them and soften all of them. It does have a problem against the Overseers, as even up close it takes like 7 shots to take them down, and they are very hard to set on fire unless they have a broken armor already. Because of that, and because overall the appropriators with the mechs are not a good idea for the Breaker Incendiary, I would not take it for the appropriators. There is a lot of overseers, there is a lot of mechs. The Breaker Incendiary will not do good against them, even against the shooters which have some fire resistance. Breaker Incendiary doesn't really have a problem when it comes to the shields, unless you're far away. Up close, no problem, couple of shots, but on the distance, yeah, you are not really doing much to them, and you're not going to be taking them down. I wouldn't use it to kill a flash mob, but in very last resort you can do it. But in majority you can soften a lot of them up, so it is easier to kill them with some support weapon or for your teammates. And that's pretty much all you can do with this weapon on this front. It's just good for dealing with the hordes of the voteless. Lastly, we have the Terminus, and here I think it's the best, simply because there is the biggest variety of the enemies that the Breaker Incendiary can set on fire easily. The range is from the Scavengers all the way up to the Alpha Commanders, simply because on this front enemies lack medium armor, and something like the Base Spewer has a very huge butt that you can set on fire because these parts do not have medium armor even on the higher difficulties. Although there is one enemy in that range that will cause you some troubles if you are facing it up front. And of course I'm talking about the Hive Guard, which from the a little bit distance even can be hard to hit on the weak spots with that gun because of spread and actually set on fire. Up close it shouldn't be a problem if you know how to aim, but from the distance it's quite hard, especially if the Hive Guards go full on shield mode. So I would rather to go on their side or from their back, or just switch to other weapon to deal with them. But don't worry, for the Rapture Strain it does not suck, simply because the Rapture Strain doesn't have claws in medium armor, so shooting them point blank should catch them on fire because you're hitting the front claws. But since we are talking about the sub-factions, I wouldn't use it for the Predator Strain, because there you want something that either can quickly kill the Terminids or make them not get close to you, and this gun doesn't do either of them, so for that strain just leave it at home. It can set on fire both the Charger and the Bile Titan, but it's not going to do much, so while you can do it, you are not really doing anything. And for the Impaler, yes, it will take it down in below a Mach, but it's not the fastest, and everything kills that guy. And lastly, for the Shriekers, if you are not using the Duck Bill like me, it shouldn't be a problem to take them down because they don't have a lot of health and they catch on fire instantly with this gun. And for the equipment advisory section, with Breaker Incendiary I feel like good synergies are the gas grenades and the gas guard dog. Both of those will often set the enemies with the gas effect, which will be dealing the DPS and confuse them, so crowd control them, and with spraying the fire sprinkles on them from the Breaker Incendiary, the combined DPS is going to do a nice killing force against the chaff enemies. And that's it. I feel like this gun used to be a little bit better, but at least it has a nice niche. Though still I want to see those buffs I have mentioned. I feel like they could help this gun a lot. And I'm not gonna lie, I really only made this video because of the nice synergy of the Breaker Incendiary and the gas grenade. That's what made me want to make this video. Anyways, I will be seeing you in the next one. See ya, Helldivers!